Okay. So we'll get started. So today we're going to be talking about basic tools that people use in open source to solve problems. So they're very good for solving problems with software in a distributed manner. So even if we weren't all in the same time, it would still work pretty well. And for the first part, I'll just show what GitHub is, which is basically a website where we can collaboratively edit both software and have a conversation about software. Okay. So first of all, we're on the GitHub website now, and if you see the line on top, you see that we're in the organization Code for Princeton under GitHub. And there we have a few different repositories, which corresponds more or less to projects. And now we'll enter a particular project, Princeton Energy. Okay. So what do we see here? Up here we see a list of files, one file and two subdirectories actually. And down here we see a printout of this README file. There's a convention where README says everything you need to know right in the beginning of a project, and it says something about what this project is about. So this is this project is about a data set that we got from PSE&G about use of energy in Princeton, including gas and electricity. And we're going to use this just as an example. So the first thing, if we look here, we have README, and up here we have the data set. So clearly there's an original data set, and then there's a clean data set. So someone already started working on this data set and improving it, which is the kind of things that we do here in order to make the information more accessible. If we go in there, we see another list of files, what is in this directory. And if we click on this file, what we see is that it's an Excel file, so that it's not text. Now, programmers work with text all the time, and that's the easiest way basically to share information so that everyone can use it. If someone has an Excel file and someone else doesn't have an Excel, so they can not access it. So one thing that we'll want to do is convert this to Excel. Convert this into a text format, comma separated. We'll use this, first of all, as an example to show how we do things using GitHub. So the first thing we'll do is just say there's a problem, right? We can't use this file because of the format. And to do that, we'll open a new issue. So I clicked on the issues, and here I open a new issue, title XLS. So basically, I'm telling you this, despite the fact we didn't look. It has strings inside things instead of numbers, so we can't do graphs. So now we submit this new issue, and now if someone else goes into the same project, they see that there is an issue here. You see my mouse over this issues 1, and if they go in, they see the issue. And an issue is something that we can write comments about. So some people say, no, Excel is just fine, and someone else can say, I'll try to fix it, or something like that. We can have a conversation about what's the right thing to do, and then someone that is one of the managers of the project can also decide to close this issue. Okay, it's dealt with. Okay. So that was the first thing I wanted to show. Is just one way to participate, even if you're not going to write programs or whatever, is say, I think we can do this thing about this project using issues. Okay.
Can I interrupt real quick to say, Code for Princeton is using GitHub to do all of our project management. So even when it's not related to a specific technical, like tool that we're building or data set that we're working with, we're doing some kind of hackathon and plan meetups and things like that. So the issue stuff, I think, is really relevant across the board.
Yeah, so for example, I used it when I opened an issue on the datasets repository when I said, why is the bus information not published, right? So that is kind of a marker that says this is something we may want to do, and other people can come on in and comment and add some information. I know this guy that has it. So it doesn't have anything to do with programming in particular. It's just a way to manage things we want to do about projects. Okay. Yeah, that's a very good comment. Okay, so that was one thing that we want to do. Now let's see another thing that we can do that has nothing to do with programming per se. So there's a README file, and one nice thing is that we can edit these files online. Okay, so yeah, okay, so let's look at we entered now the particular file, and then right here there's an option to edit this file. Now this will also help us explain an important concept in Git. So what we see here is the source for this file. So you see it's just text, we can just edit it. Goals, resource, dataset information, clean dataset. So I want to add a comment here. So basically what I'm saying for future users of this project, that they shouldn't make any of the information go away in terms of the style in which they work. And now I want to save that. So I'm proposing this file change. And now you see a version where you can see the old one and you see plus and the green line, which is an addition, something that I added. Okay. And now the thing is, how does GitHub allow everyone to cooperate in a very open manner, right? So we could say the tagline is everyone can edit anything they want, except that's wrong because that would be chaos, right? So anyone can edit their fork of everything, anything they want. So if you're working on a project and you're new, you have no authority in the project, you can still edit it just like I did right now, except you're editing your own version of it. And then you create a pull request that tells the people who do have the authority, here's a proposed change. Look at it, and if you want, merge it by pressing a button, and that's it. My change is part of the official project now. Okay. So I press the Create Pull Request button in order to do this. And I can write what it is that we change. Yeah.
I know you are doing this on the master in code for Princeton, but what I recommend people do is create a fork.
This creates a fork.
No.
What do you mean no? I'm creating a pull request on the master.
For your changes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
so that doesn't change the master.
Is fork it over to your repository.
I think it did fork it over.
Did it fork it over?
I think so.
Okay.
In any case, it's a pull request. It is not an edit to the master.
Yeah, definitely. You're setting up the edit for the master.
Right, and then you can pull it by accepting the pull request. Okay, and the title is add explanation of what this change is. Press the pull request, and now what we see is a discussion page for this pull request. Then someone can say, no, we should do it differently. Someone else can just say merge if they have the authority. Okay. So this is another way that basically if we have, for example, a project that is gathering information about something that we can do, like ideas for projects for the hackathon or whatever, people can edit it this way using the website, even if they've never come to a meetup, they've never gotten any authority for anything, so people can just participate very easily. Okay, and that is the end of our first demo.
Okay, so now what we'd like to do is to edit the XLS file, and we want to convert it to CSV, which is comma separated values, so that we could see the actual text. It's not the binary anymore. So what I'd like for you guys to do is download, for example, if you have Mac, GitHub for Mac, So I will search that. You'll see. I'm just gonna search for GitHub for. So you can download this. It also comes with a Windows version. Let's see. It's gonna look the same. It's just for different platforms. So anyway, I already downloaded it, and this is what it looks like. I will press the plus button, and I want to clone the Python energy repository. So I type Python energy, but so I've already done that, so I'm not going to press clone anymore. But you guys will do. So once you have the Python energy, I will make the changes, and I've actually made it already beforehand just to make things easier. I exported it with the numbers in Mac, so I used CSV, and now you see all these changes. So here's the CSV. You can actually see there's a lot of pluses here because we've created the whole file. So I mean, if you changed it some more, if you deleted something, you'll see a minus instead of a plus, and it's going to be red. So I already typed my summary here, converted to CSV, and I'm going to commit to master. Wait, should I do? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So anyway, committing to master, what that would do is keep the changes into my local copy. So I'm gonna commit to master, and then you could also do the pull request here. And is that right? Okay. You just press the send pull request. Well, then I think I'm missing something.
No description, maybe. No ticks. Why is it not saying the tick?
Maybe I need to sync
first. Commit and then pull. You committed?
Did I? I thought it did, right? You saw me commit to master. Let me sync just to make sure. Oh, so I don't have permission.
You cloned maybe the basic project and not a fork.
Oh, that's could be. Let's see. Just want to make sure. Hold on, debugging right here. As we go.
That's good because it's an opportunity to explain. So before, what we did is edit the file inside the web UI, right? So that automatically forked the project over, so we have a copy of our own that we can edit, right? Because we can't edit the master because we don't have authority.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you can see, it says this iMetric, and I have the Python energy copy. And it was forked from Code for Princeton. Let's figure this out. Let's see.
And then cloning is the act of bringing that over to our computer. Okay. So before we cloned the wrong version, the master version that we can't later update, and now we want to clone the version, Edric's version of Python energy.
I have a feeling it might be with the unsyncing. So I think my local copy is not in sync with the remote, which is in GitHub. So I will.
So cloning is actually a local copy.
Oh, why
yes.
is it not working?
It's not really.
And cloning still doesn't require you to have authority over the remote because you're just reading it.
So there's the master, there's the forked, and then there's the clone.
Right.
Okay.
So the clone is your local version of whatever. You can have a clone of the master or a clone of your own version.
Okay.
And we want the clone of our own version so that we can push our changes back on. Because we're not allowed to push into the master.
Mm-hmm. And then once you push it online into your version, you can submit a pull request.
Exactly.
To the master.
Yes.
Right. So I did I'm in the command line. I'm in the terminal. Software developers and a lot of other technical folks just like to be in the terminal because it's you could repeat processes easily. You could run your scripts. So I did git status, and it shows, hey, it looks like my branch is ahead of the master. But actually, let's see. So I do git remote, just see the
What is this a clone of?
Yeah. So I actually have looks like the clone of
The master.
the master of So the actual
Sorry.
muted.
Are you on mute? It says on my screen that you're muted.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Really?
you turned off your.
Sorry, just because I want it so that we
Oh.
can capture some.
Oh sure. Yeah.
Capture.
All right.
Maybe it's just the network connection issue.
Is it this?
Well, so I think I'm not muted because that means.
But it said you were muted earlier. Oh, I think it's the network connection issues. Every time the network comes in, it says that you're on mute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All that phone, I didn't want
All
to
right.
So you're looking to see what your
So I have the copy of the Code for Princeton version, but I don't have the version of my own fork. So I will adding that remote add. I'm going to call it. Going to go back to the.
So usually own version, and then that's.
You got kicked out. All right, it's the repositories, Piton Energy. So this is my copy. I'm going to copy this. Is that right? Git remote add.
I think so.
So git remote B again. Remote. Okay. So git. Yeah. So now I'm going to push the changes to my repo. All right, and then let's try this again. All right, let me press in just in case. Why?
I think it's still trying to push it to the master, but I think now we can continue on GitHub webpage and just create a pull request from the UI.
Okay, all right, so let's do that. Okay, let's do pull request here, right? Or do I need to go to code?
Wait, does your version? Let's see that this version now has the CSV files.
Let's see, convert it to CSV. So I think yes, we do have it. So that's
Okay.
what we want.
So now we're at the stage where if we hadn't made any mistakes, right, then right after pushing back our changes online, we would be here.
Yes. So I press the pull request, new pull request, and then is this right? Base is master, and then
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Do you guys want to go through and explain base for?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I'm forgetting right now, but I actually wrote it down this morning to prepare for this talk. 1 second. Do you want to explain or?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Let me show you for proof. Learn. All right. So right here, so there's the head and base. So the notion is, so the base is basically where you want to have the changes to be applied, and then the head is the opposite. That's where you want to take from. So, sorry, I have so many tabs. Wait, that's not it. Close that. Oh.
So where are we? Please submit the PR.
I'm looking for the
tab. time where we can try to do this stuff,
Okay.
etc. Okay.
Cool. So we have your video.
Wait, do you see me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Screen share desktop.
Yeah.
Oops. Back here.
And everything that you do in the command line, you can do within the user interface.
Most.
Most, okay.
Yes.
So basically, what we did in the command line is fixing the problem that we had
Yes.
before, right? But another way to do it would be to just redo it, like go again, either fork, or if we have the fork, clone again from our fork, do the change, and push it up.
Hopefully, you didn't make a lot of changes if that happens.
Hmm?
Hopefully, you didn't make a lot of changes if that happens.
Right. So if you did, then time to get to the command line.
All right. So it looks like it went through. So that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, converted to CSV. It's the pull request number 4.
We're creating a lot of work for my
Yes.
to merge our requests.
All right.
Okay.
I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. Right. So we entered this project that we had nothing to do with. We decided that we want to give our own technical direction. It should be a CSV. Someone else entirely maybe decided to fix this problem, right, and use the tool that they have to download it and export again as CSV and do a push request, create a pull request, and then some person that has authority can choose to bring this into the official version of the repository, and then everyone has access to it. Okay. And basically, if that person were hit by a bus or whatever, we could do everything on one of the other copies, one of the other forks on GitHub. So there is no special central authority except in terms of names. Right? Everyone's the same. Okay. And now we want to go to the next stage. Yeah, please.
Does GitHub, when we pull these local copies through the fork or through our clone to our hard drive and do all these changes, is there any kind of way that someone else could see, oh, you're working on it, so I don't pull that down and do the same thing that someone else is working on? Or
so you can see, let's see if we can just show it here.
And if you were going to cover that later, I'm sorry I can wait.
No, it's perfectly good time because we're more or less done with GitHub, so it's good to talk about that before. So we can see if we go back to the project.
But you can't see what they're working on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Till they check it back in.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, sorry.
I was saying, but that's what you can use issues for, correct? To have that
Correct.
conversation.
So the way a typical project is supposed to really function as a well-oiled machine is you have the master where everything is. You have issues set up, and somebody takes ownership of one issue, right? And that's talking about like a little mature project kind of management. So spread it out. People take I know database, I'll take database. I know front, I'll take the GUI, and so they take the changes. They create their own branch, right? The cloning or the forking over, and basically, when you put your changes in, you put the pull request in, and whoever is the owner for the project, the team lead, is actually checking that back in. So when you send the pull request, that's the only time everybody else will see what you did. But the idea is that you're working on a piece that nobody else is working on. And the other thing on these ones, which I have run into issues with larger teams working on it, I typically work with teams of 2-3 guys, and we're all sitting together so we know what everybody else is working on. In the distributed environment, what you should do is, when you do the clone, you're working on your own copy, but if somebody codes faster than you or put some changes of some functionality, it's going to go in the master, and you would not know about it till you're sending a pull request. I'll be like, oh, that thing is ahead of what you did. So what typically you should do is set up an upstream. I don't know if you guys
we haven't discussed
that. So you have to do an upstream setup of the master.
Yes.
So every time anything changes the master, your GitHub on Windows or GitHub on Mac will tell you that there's a change, and if you want to pull that change, you can look at exactly say. So to your point, if somebody else does some work and it goes back to the master, through those if you set up that, it will tell you every time anything changes in the master, but that's only in the master copy. You can't look at, like, so if you and Daniel are working on it, you cannot look at what Daniel is doing unless you
So,
choose
but
to
if
choose.
Daniel's working on it and I'm working on something else, my piece, my issue, and say Daniel uploads his version first, then does mine have to start over because his version
No.
is
Okay,
already
so
made?
Yeah,
the-
well, it depends, right? Like,
I'll give a general answer
Yeah.
here. And the general answer is that this works very well for collaboration on big projects with many people, including all of these problems, right? And the reason we're not answering the question completely is because it's complicated.
Yeah, I understand.
So, I mean,
but
you've dealt
I
with
guess
this kind of problem, so
in a shortened version, my piece can be merged into the
Yes.
master without messing up everything else.
Right.
So multiple people can be in there at the same time and not.
especially if you're editing disjoint pieces, then there's no problem at all. And if there is overlap, then someone needs to think and
Okay.
do the right thing.
Okay.
and from a resource point of view, the way we have envisioned this, obviously, we're not there with the project set, and we are hoping the hackathon will, kick that off. So we'll have the team leads and the subject matter experts, and the teams are going to be built around, 5 or 6 people, and the goal is, like, hopefully these 5 or 6 people, or even 2 or 3 retain, they're going to move along with the project and work with the project and own the project and do work on it. So then, your communication in terms of, like, non-random people are sending, which doesn't stop, somebody else sending something along the way, but that's when the team leads come in and be like, all right, this pull request is not great, I'm going to discard it, this is good, we're going to review it or come back with whatever. So, yeah, so that's the goal. It'll probably be small teams working on it, and I don't see this as a potential challenge. If we have 100 people contributing, then we have bigger fish to fry. And different issues to deal with.
Yes. Let's have that problem.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But later, I mean, if we have time at the end, I could show you like an example of this thing we call merge conflict.
Yeah.
We could replicate that, and we could show you like the process of seeing like, oh, this person came, this change came from this person, and this change came from the other person, and yeah, they changed the same line. So what do we do? Yeah.
Okay.
We can
You talked about this. You predicted this was coming, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Another answer to the question about having many people is that you can see this network that you see on our screen of who did things, but that's retroactive. It doesn't show you, of course, what other people haven't published, what they're working on right now. But it does give you an idea of who in general is working on this project at all, because you see as soon as they fork. Okay. Okay. So that was the GitHub part of our demos, and now we're getting to something that is programming. So it'll obviously be more challenging for those of you who don't have experience, but you have a chance to see how it gets done and learn something. And I think
Question: who doesn't have done any programming
at all.
At all? I've done a little.
Like, what have you done?
You have a little? Okay, good.
But what have you done? Like, just out of curiosity, I just want to.
I've done years ago, back when probably none of you were old enough to know. Box-based database,
Is it okay if I just?
and then I graduated into SQL.
Okay.
And now I'm like on different programs at work, but they're like homegrown systems. There's 8-quarter and Synergy and things like that. But
More database driven though?
it is for where I'm at now. So back when I
right.
I guess had more hands-on into the code with all in SQL.
Okay.
But that's been about. I'm gonna show my age.
Okay. I'm sorry.
3 days.
Yeah. Because I just want to like understand.
I've done a little in Python, but mostly been sort of data.
Yeah. Really. But yeah.
What?
No, that's good. I'm like that's good.
That's
like
great.
the data pulling and stuff. That's part of. I think
Kind of
what
stuff we do.
you- yeah.
Yeah,
we do.
it's a big part.
big part.
Cleaning stuff,
Exactly.
getting stuff, cleaning
Yeah,
stuff.
That's the start of everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I've done some making graphs in R for my biology research. And I tried doing the Python course on Codecademy and learned a lot from at least the basics of just like how to do stuff. But
Nice.
So I did that too a couple of years
Yeah.
ago. I don't know if I remember it.
Okay. Anyone else want to?
I think I have done the last.
Nothing is less trustworthy.
Yeah.
You'll find people who have done nothing.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll get started. So I'm going to introduce you to a few tools that are good for munging data and making it more usable. And the basic tool is called IPython, and it's a nice interactive environment for Python, by which I mean that you can do stuff like this, right? So you just write something, and then whatever it evaluates to, we see it as an out variable right here. Okay.
And what is IPython? Is it a tool you download to your?
Yes, you can install. So for this part of the demo, think of it as a teaser. We're not going through every step, right? If it interests you, then you can learn it all. Everything's online. There's 100 tutorials, etc. But just to get an idea of how we can do some stuff. Okay, but yeah, definitely ask. Feel free to interrupt questions. It's good. One useful tool for data munging is pandas. So I just told Python that I want to use pandas, and I will call it PD. Okay, and now, for example, you want to ask something?
What is Panda?
So I'm going to show you what it does right now. Yeah. So pandas can, for example, read the CSV. Okay, so I named pandas PD, right? And then I said PD period, and I typed read, and then tab, and it showed me all of these options that begin with read that PD can do, that pandas can do. I want to read a CSV.
There's a library of
And the PD is, so it's a shorter thing to call in your code as instead
alias.
of typing out pandas every time.
Exactly. Yeah, and are we in the right directory? Because it's not seeing.
That's when you know he's a developer.
Okay, let's see here.
What's your directory right now? PWD? Or is that where you're now?
Clean data set. Okay. So I'm finding the file. Okay, so now you see that I have the name of the file and the directory it's in, and it's what do you call this?
The what?
And it's surrounded by, and it's surrounded by
single quotes.
Single quotes. Yes.
Yes. Oh, sorry, my control is here. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Control
undo until we get back.
Control Z, right?
Everything.
Command Z. I'm so sorry. I remapped my yeah. I press control a lot, so it's on the caps lock, and caps lock is in the other. It's on control. Yes.
Okay. So copy. How do I copy?
Command C. Command C.
Okay. Yeah. Not my computer. Command. No, that's not it.
Let's try that again. So. You can also do command. Oh. Command shift. There we go. Just do there we go. And then.
Okay, and now command C.
C. Yeah. That should work.
Yes.
Okay.
Running business. Okay, so I told it you should read this file. This is usually quick, and we have the data from the CSV file now inside this PD. Okay, or actually, we just forgot it, so we'll put it in data frame and read the CSV into DF. DF is the data frame. So think of DF as a programmatic Excel. We can do whatever we want, but it's not a UI. We'll give it commands. Okay. So what does this DF have? It has everything. And what do we want to do? So we want to be able to do some graphs. And one problem that we have here is that if you look at the dates we have, what we have is this month year. So if we want to look at them, month year, and if we want just what is it exactly, what we see now is if you see these single quotes, that means this is a string. So it's just the character 04/2009. Okay, so it doesn't know these are dates. Okay, so we can't use this, for example, in graph. Okay, so we need to convert this into a date, and have this written down. This is the kind of stuff that we need to just learn. What does Python know how to do? So that we have this string, and this string we can tell it to do a split based on this character, right? The slash is what's dividing the date from the year, etc. That's not very well. No, actually, for the dates, let's see what that does. So that gives us the month and the year separately, but we don't want to do that manually because there's already ways to create dates from strings. So for this, let's try this in the next line. Okay, so we'll need.
There we go. All right.
Import date time as. Okay, so this know how to do stuff with dates. I'm telling the DT it should take a string and convert it into a time. Yeah, that's a bad name for it, but I didn't choose that. And that's, so I gave it the string that I want to convert, and now I also want to tell it what it should expect to find in there. So a month, then a slash, and then a year. Okay. And now what it tells us is the result of this is not a string. That's a date time with a year 2009, the month 4, the day 1, and there's a time there that's 00. Okay, so this already can convert these kinds of dates that we have in the CSV file, strings that we have in the CSV file, into dates. Okay.
So you just converted the first one.
Exactly. So I just wanted to see how do I do it exactly, right? So you can imagine that I just wasted like an hour getting the M right and the Y right. There's a lot of details here, and looking at the help. How do I convert a string into a date in Python, right? So you Google. This is maybe the most Googleable type of thing there is, right? Just how do I do this in Python? So Python string to date, and you eventually get this answer. But after I showed myself this is how we do it, so how do we do it? Sure. Frame that we now wanted to have a field date, and what that is applying all of this. I'm telling you, when I go home to my own computer, I'll have all these screwed up shortcuts of yours. And I need to tell it. Okay, so up to now I said I want to put into the data frame date column something derived from the data frame month year column, right? Okay, some change, right? And this will be this what we've written before in the last line. That's what we're doing, right? And now there's a bit of weird notation that doesn't make particular sense. You just get used to it, which is lambda says here's the operation we're doing, and we get a string, the string with the month and year, and then that's what we replace this here by the string, right? That was the string before, we just got the first one, right? And now that will be every string. So we'll get every string from the column month year. It will be sent here and be used as string, and then we'll do the same thing with it. Okay. And now something's happened to df. It didn't complain. Okay. And now let's see what do we have here. You see this last column date has the dates. Okay. So instead of doing it manually, we just figure it out how to tell a computer to do this, but we need to the data frame to have the right field that we want. Okay, so that's something we can already use in plots, but we need to plot something over time, right? So what else do we have here that's useful but that we can't access yet? So let's take this electric net build kilowatt hours, right? We have these strings with a big number and then a kilowatt hour notation, and this isn't a number. We need to get rid of that, right? Okay. So right, so we need the field. Why is it not?
It's not. There we go.
Are there any characters that can't be in the header? I guess no commas, right? But
You mean that they would give me a problem if they were there?
Probably because it's CSV, no?
Well, yeah. So if there were, for example, the start and end characters for a string, that would give me problems, right? But we can escape those.
Oh.
So we can tell them, this one, ignore it, or don't treat it as an end of string.
Right.
Oh.
Okay, so we want just this column, right? Okay, that's what it looks like. And again, I'll take the first one so I can play with it. Okay, so we see again it's a string and there's a space there between the kilowatt hours and the number that we want. So we can get that, we can get rid of that using a split. And then we can take the first one of those, which is 0, in the 0th place, and now we just have the number. Great! So maybe we can convert that into a float already, right? Float is a number. Okay, got there. No, doesn't work. Okay, so Python is not happy with me. It cannot convert this string into a float. So if we look at it, I'm guessing it's the commas that are disturbing it. Okay, so we still need to do some more work there. And after, of course, I spent some time, but I did it beforehand, understanding how to replace something in a string. That's the way we do it. So now we have numbers. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. So now we have this recipe for what do we want to do with these things. So again, we want to create a function that will do this over all of the column, right? So this time I'll do it slightly differently. Function. So I begin with def. Let's call it to number, and it gets a string. And then it returns the result of all of this, except I replace the way I got the string in the first place here by just the name str, right? So now we'll do this to whatever string we get. Okay, save that. And I can't believe I deleted that whole thing. Oh well. Copy paste again.
Command Z doesn't work?
I don't think I cut. I just deleted. Okay, right. So again, we want to create a new field, and we'll call it build kilowatt hours, which is just this column. Whoops. And we, if you remember, apply, or we had the lambda, now we just have a function, so we give it the function, and that's it. Now let's look at our data frame.
Nice.
And we have that new column over there in the end. That has it. Okay, great. So now, can we finally plot some stuff? So let's try it. I really don't want to paste that thing again. Yes. Ah, good. So it did a plot, but it's not showing me anything. Sorry. That's easily fixable. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay. So we'll just tell IPython that control. Yeah. That plotting library. And while we're speaking of that, we should use a plotting library. Won't know what it would. All right, plot and okay. Typo. Great. Okay. Now we should be able to plot. Try again.
Yay!
We have some data. Okay. Okay. So now everything's mixed up when you can't see anything, right? Now this is where data frame actually excels. Oh God, that came out as a terrible pun. I'm sorry. So what we can do is say we want to group those by the by the class of business. Okay. Okay, that seems to work. And that.
Did both of those plots just come up from what you just typed in, or is that the second one?
Wait, so the first one that I did before, the data frame plot, just showed me the power over everything, right? And now I did group by class of business, and I think now it's showing me one plot per class of business.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Except some of these things that it's showing are not really numeric, so they don't come out in the plots. Just the build kilowatt hours come in the plots, but some of them have other things, so it's trying to show them. So we could instead tell it that we want to plot just the build. Let's see if that works. No, not quite. Did I get that right? See. Okay, and now it's showing it by dates. Okay. Now if you see on the x-axis, the horizontal axis, we see the dates that we converted, and on the vertical axis we see the build kilowatt hours, and that's it. And we see some negative numbers in there, which is weird, but they seem to almost zero out with some positive numbers right after, so it seems like an accounting issue.
Outlier, yeah.
Yeah. Overbilling or underbilling or something. But okay, we got to the point where we can do stuff with the data and see it. We're not even halfway through cleaning just this file, right? There's a whole bunch of other numbers that are in there as strings, etc. But we could do this, and then what would we do after that? So we don't want everyone that wants to do anything with this data to have to go through this again. So we would save these commands as a Python file, okay, that loads the CSV and enhances it with the interpretation of the strings into these new columns, and then anyone can use this. Or we would save the result as a new CSV that has the numbers maybe in more friendly format so that you can read them immediately into numbers without the kilowatt hours and the commas, etc. And then someone else entirely can do the data analysis after and not having to redo the part that we already did. Okay, and then of course we would save the files, commit, push to our repository, create a pull request that sends it, offers to send it to the master version of the project, and then it's up there where anyone can benefit from it. Okay, so that's basically the whole workflow from someone has an idea, this is not really readable, through people helping possibly different people to the problem is solved. Okay. That's all. More
Yeah,
questions?
it's right there. Can we have a copy of those?
Sure. Yeah.
Or could you put them on the,
Yeah.
I don't know. if
Right.
there's a place
So
on
the
GitHub
best
for-
way to do it would be to actually save this, put it on GitHub, and then you can just look at that, right?
Okay.
So that's what we'll do.
I
I
wanna-
made it on GitHub. I can make it like learning materials or something. I can rename the repository to something else.
Why? It's actually useful work for the energy project. We'll put it on the energy project, and they can look at it, and we can link to it from the Learn GitHub.
No, but I'm just saying if you want to put these rough notes and instructions somewhere, I can put like the Learn 101 or something. I can do. You can throw it on there. We can put it
So
on Princeton.
here in my so-called notes are just a printout of the notebook.
Yeah.
So that's already there, and just what I wanted to talk about. So I can put this PDF online if you want, but
Yeah, I'm just one of those visual people.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Okay.
I'm very visual.
no problem.
And
So
you call this process, did you say munging? What was the word?
munging
Munging.
data.
So what
Yeah.
is what is munging exactly?
Munging
It's
is
what we just did?
what we
Yeah.
just did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, cleaning it out.
The dirty work of getting it into a state where you can do what you really want to do.
Graphs,
Basically.
predictive modeling. Yeah.
So part of the problem, if we go back to the civic hacking, so what do we want to do? There's all this information that is being created by the government entities and sometimes other bodies such as PSENG, right? And basically, in a sense, it belongs to us, the people, right? Except that they have them.
Should we end that recording?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, so we're doing that, right?
All right, so stop. Here we go.